So we could consider ourselves to be somewhat online.
Somewhat connected to this world. Hello, Carsten. Hello, world. How are you doing, Carsten?
Good morning, my dearest Christopher Allen Branston.
Yeah, it's morning somewhere.
Good afternoon, my dearest Christopher. Good evening, my dearest Christopher Allen. Please now let me start and let me finish my start. That's just works.
Let me finish my start. It's the beginning of the end.
Christopher,
Yes,
you
sir.
look so
Yes,
blue
sir.
today.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, great to see. But Chris, isn't there somebody missing?
Sadly, there is. Sadly, there is. You know, this is a real mess. Last week I was missing. This week Dom is missing. And wow, it's just due to our massively insane schedules. And, it ain't easy doing all this online
Let's be
business and
honest,
online
he's on
stuff.
vacation. Let's be
Okay, well,
honest.
Dom, we still dearly miss you and
Oh,
love
we
you,
do.
man.
We
Yeah.
do. We definitely do. But I missed you. Eh?
Where did you miss me?
Last week,
Oh, yes.
I
Last
missed
week,
you.
yes. Last week there was just really, and this is not an excuse. This is not saying I wasn't on vacation and I wasn't ill. I just had a lot to do because, as probably a large part of the internet and people viewing us and being somewhat involved in our contexts have seen, there was a large day one with a lot of new stuff happening at my workplace. And that's why I just had a lot to do because I am in the meantime in external communications, and when big things happen, communicating is an important part. So very sorry for missing last week's episode, but hey,
The
this
point
week's a
is,
new
the
week.
point is, we missed you.
Oh,
Well,
oh well. The good
Chris,
thing is, Carsten, we never need to miss you because you're always there. You're in German we say Fels in der Brandung, our saving mountain in the sea. This is where we go for our happy place. Thank you, Carsten.
did you just call me a happy place?
Yes, for me you are a happy
I
place.
am not. I am not. Because last week, for example, the both of us, completely independent of open.clouds.dev, had a very long conversation, and I need to say one thing. And I wrote I wrote a LinkedIn posting on that as well. Um, I'm so extremely thankful for starting working with you on Open Clouds Dev and on other occasions, because I truly found somebody who is, let me put it that way, a pain in the ass from time to time, who is exhausting, who is demanding, but who is open, who is honest.
Somebody received my CV and is reading out loud.
No, I
Excellent.
don't. I don't. And if you don't shut up, I mute you. Um, no, I just wanted to thank you for being Chris, for being Christopher Allen Branston. Awesome, Christopher Allen Branston. I was just looking for a word. For being as you
That's why I
are,
got it tattooed.
for
You know
being
that
as you
story?
are, for being authentic. Again, I you last week you and rightfully so criticized me internally a lot, and for all the right reasons. I just we discussed that. I told you that, but I just want to repeat that because that is more on a global scale. Then that is so important to have basically somebody who is not just, I don't know, admiring you or telling you what you want to hear, or on the other hand, is not just speaking badly behind your back or whatever, who is just there in that sounds now it starts sounding completely wrong, in good times as well as in bad times.
Yes.
And I and it is I want to say that because I feel like that is important. This year, I don't get me wrong. It's not like a review of the year, but this year has showed me a lot and has told me a lot and has taught me a lot about whom and what to trust, whom and where to go to if something goes wrong, whom to depend upon and willingly depend upon, and I'm truly happy that I found you, that I found Dom. Also in my organization that I found some other people or rediscovered them. And thankfully and for God's sake, those are not the easy ones. Those are not those simple ones. Those are the demanding ones, the pain in the ass ones. But those are the people that you want to grow with. Those are the people that you want to work with. And I learned one thing this year. If there is a door closing, another door is opening. And that is something which I feel like is I mean, for example, look into direction of email, for example. I need to write email that we dearly miss him. And I do that live on the show. Give me a second.
Live email.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dear at Emil. It's not visible at the moment, but it will come in as a comment. We miss you.
Miss you a lot. But Carsten, just as short intersection, I couldn't agree more with what you're saying, and I couldn't give it back more because I also think one of the defining things, at least for me, without doing a review of this year, but actually, reflecting also on a bit more than just kind of the situation we've all been living in, a very, very important factor that I've always thought about and appreciated, but never thought about this heavily, is exactly what you were saying. With people that you build trust with, and people that become important, and people that you can really say you have some form of relationship with, which is a give and take. It's not only about the good times. It's not only about having people around you saying like, "Oh, all of this is great. It's you're so awesome. It's so great. It's so But it's also sometimes about being there and being very honest and saying, "Hey, I know stuff isn't cool, but I'm here. I'm here to listen. I'm here to reflect. I'm here. If you just want to scream for a while or fly off the handle or whatever, that's where we can be there for each other, and that's a very, very important metric. And even going away from own relationships, from your own environment that you're living in. If we've seen this, we've talked about it so much, trust in business, and if everybody in business just agrees, it's useless. There's no reason for two people being there if they only agree. And that's where we start making wrong decisions, making wrong reflections. If everything's always just great, somebody at the end of the line will be very, very disappointed, because it will turn out that a lot of people have not been speaking the truth. And I'd rather have a billion more relationships like the one with you, where we don't, we smile a lot on camera and we do all this stuff for a live show, and we're not here, to go into endless negative ranting and spreading hate.
Although we could do that, but we don't do that.
But we decide to let this have a positive outlook and a positive impact on people. But yeah, we're humans, and we also, live in a very, very volatile and diverse world. Monday happens sometimes and everything can go well, and sometimes it just doesn't.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very happy to have people like you in my life that are there in all these different shades of world and shades of living and shades of thinking and doing and experiencing things. And I'm figuring one of my main tasks has been to think a lot about community and humans and how we get together and how we interact and collaborate. And one thing I very, very firmly believe in is that what we've been creating here, and also taking Domin and all your other formats, my other format, have definitely been something where we've been trying our best to give people a piece of positivity, something to laugh about, something to think about, something to interact if they do want. And that's something really, really great, because the more we've been living in the world and the state that we're in at the moment, the faker everything around us has become. The more we've been integrating ourselves into our own little bubbles by liking, disliking, ignoring, taking stuff in. And it's really, really cool just to see that we, on a very pure level, are definitely creating a show for everybody who's watching it, but we're damn serious about this. This is us. This is also not so much the businesses we work for, or messages we're putting out there to generate revenue and make money. That's what we have everyday jobs for. That's exactly. Not why we come together.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's really, really great. I've enjoyed this. It's been a great experience and great learning for me on so many levels. So thank you to Carsten. Big love and big up.
We lost something on the way.
Oh, wow. Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Our title slide.
Oh, yes. So, please, dear audience of 0 people watching, perhaps 1 or 2, who knows? Dear audience, welcome to open.clouds.dev number, damn it, Dom, Chris, is it 28 or 9?
I'd figure...
Let's just call it 28.
Solid.
Let's call it 28. It's a great number. And
it's like on date night. When I go on dates, I always say, let's call it 29.
Never kiss 29. On a first date. Never kiss on a first date. Always on a 28. And the Cloud Report is presenting open.clouds.dev. But if I recall properly, there was somebody singing back then when we were young.
Right? We haven't done this. Do you want a Cloud Report jingle?
Oh yeah.
So
do you want to do that alone?
No, please join in. It's a free for all. So open.clouds.dev is sponsored by 1, 2, 3, 4 the
Cloud Report. The Cloud Report. Sponsoring open.clouds.dev. And Vanilla Stack.
Oh, Vanilla Stack.
No singing, no singing, no singing, no. We said we are not bringing in our business today. Wait, it's the wrong one.
Well, you know what the beauty is when we do this with Vanilla Stack, it's kind of a loophole, because Vanilla Stack is an open source project. And so sorry for liking open source projects.
How dare you? How dare you like open source projects? I'm still waiting, by the way, for the Open Source Act 2028, to be honest. I'm still waiting for that.
That's the thing time will solve for us.
But I tell you one thing. And that is something not everybody knows about. Most people don't know about. The thing with Vanilla Stack, or the background with Vanilla Stack, is not just having a great product in the market for great people, but I'm a truly political person. And what I see as one of the major problems we have nowadays, and I told that several times on the cloud report as well, on the cloud report, on open.clouds.dev as well, is that we have some sort of an oligopoly currently being established with Microsoft, Google, Amazon, say Alibaba, Tencent, perhaps Oracle, just a number of players that
Yep.
basically control everything. And those players, they are not just controlling your workloads with their cloud environments. They are also controlling your communications. You say, how is that possible? Look no further than
How,
Teams.
Carsten? How?
Look no further than Teams. Or look no further than say, what is it called? Google Meet.
Or maybe Slack, which has been purchased by Salesforce.
For $25.5 billion. And you know what, Chris? I'm pretty sure that they haven't bought Slack for their awesome application.
No, they've actually bought it as direct competition to Teams. But we shall see which one of the major players will decide this one.
But the point is, my problem is, if you happen to use Slack, and we used it internally because we have other means of communications as well. If you happen to use Teams, if you happen to use Google Meet, if you happen to say use, let's just keep it with those three. You are channeling your whole communication by a service of Microsoft, Google, or Salesforce nowadays. And that scares me. That truly scares me, because that basically implies that your whole communication is visible and open to them. So that's not just my kind of paranoia. It's just, you have those three major players playing with your data, playing with your information, playing with your business secrets and with your personal secrets. And that is something which again leaves me scared. And now comes the political part. Next year, I cannot promise when exactly. I currently target Q1. Next year, we will set up some sort of a foundation. Don't nail me on the legal form. Could be a foundation, perhaps some sort of a GmbH in Germany, which is something like, I'm currently missing the word, gemeinnützig. You could perhaps
gemeinnützig, communally
focused,
valuable.
Yeah, something like that. Basically, not profit orientated legal entity, and or could be even some sort of just a community. Anyways, but what I want to do with that thing is basically not just to give Vanilla Stack its open source home, but basically just make Vanilla Stack one project. Because for me, I see a lot of things to be done in terms of creating some sort of lobby organization for local data center providers, for a mindset where you would run workloads locally, decentralized, and not in local data centers of one of the 5 major players. There are so many smaller data center providers that basically provide the same service, and I'm not talking about making them more visible in business relations. Well, that's still their business. But what I realize is that Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Tencent, Alibaba, Oracle spent hundreds of millions of euros and dollars each year for lobbying. And guess what they do with their lobbying? That kind of lobbying is targeted towards politicians and decision makers in politics and in public opinions. And they obviously use it to spread their word. They obviously use it to basically shape the conversation according to their needs. And parts of them, such as Google, do that with that kind of open source approach, like saying, yeah, we are a truly open source company. So the point is, that is something which is very, very unacceptable to me. And I'm truly looking forward. Frankly, I know that I'm competing there in regards to millions and billions, in regards to influence with those companies, but I feel like it is worth it. Creating some sort of an entity which is centered around transparency, privacy, data ownership, decentralization, and Vanilla Stack would only be one project in there. The point is, well, it needs to be some sort of a, again, let's call it foundation, because that is something where you need to collect money, where you need to have donations in place. And most of the, if not all of the other software foundations, for example, they try to stay out of politics. And I can totally understand that. But I don't want to stay out of politics because I feel like that is very important. And then you have...
You know...
Go ahead.
We've had this just in our intro. You know, one of the major problems I see is this growing yes man culture. You know, if everybody saves their own ass by kind of ignoring away negative connotations, negative input, negative feedback, everything's always just going to be great. And at the end of the day, you know, these big corporations, the management levels in these big corporations, they're sitting there with a huge grin on their face saying like, you know, isn't this great? We were talking so much in other episodes how we live in our little bubble, you know, by pressing like, viewing certain stuff, pushing it into your own algorithm, you're creating a picture that you want to see. And if you're creating a picture that you want to see, you're not going to question it. And that is going to become a really, really huge problem because we've seen this over the last 30 years with invention of broadband connections and the internet, and a big portion of the internet working. What do you want to call it? As an anarchy, where everybody can say everything
it was
at any
an
time
anarchy.
if they want.
Frankly, it better is an anarchy.
Yes, and you know, I think especially the idea with the foundation is really, really great because it's taking away the business component and it's kind of putting a spotlight on the human component, saying everybody out there, take your responsibility seriously. It's us as private people to say, think about the choices of who you're investing in. Which vendors do you use? Which services do you use? It's about the partners in the system saying, like, have responsibility to sell the right stuff to the right people, to enable the right services and products. And it's about the big corporations saying, well, you know, we're all here to make billions and billions of money, but without our users, would be making zero money, and then we'd just be useless. Nobody would need us. So there must be some form of correlation between all these different, actually, you know, pieces within a business, a buying chain, a world, and an environment, and breaking it down to communities. What I've been talking about that we're living in, and everybody needing to activate themselves.
It all
first.
belongs together. That's the point. It all belongs together. And the bad thing with what is going on at the moment is basically that we literally with open eyes stumble into a future where it's not like 1984 in George Orwell's book, but it's mostly like that. Let me put it that way. We don't need Big Brother. We have Big Google, Big Facebook, Big Microsoft. Even if they intend to be not to be evil, and frankly, let me put it that way, I want to believe that. I truly want to believe that. But the point is, and we discussed that actually in this very show, the both of us, when we have been alone back then, we discussed that, how business changes your perception, how you will be forced to do things that you would perhaps not want to do from a business perspective, just to survive or to grow your market share.
You know, and let's be realistic. Due to the nature of our show, we've been talking about IT companies and IT monopoles, which is fine and dandy. You know, we just find this very, very interesting because we're working in the field.
Yeah.
But there's far worse examples than Google, Microsoft, Facebook.
Absolutely.
Look at the Nestles of this world. Look at, I don't know, there's a billion companies who are doing even worse things. And that to us directly as humans, where all this business and blah shit, where it's about my private life, where it's about a private chance to live and find your own happiness. And a lot of the big companies, big brands are manipulating that in a really, really bad way. And actually, if I look at it that way, what the IT companies are doing is actually kindergarten, because with most of the IT companies, at least, you know, I'm addicted to their service. I'm addicted to pushing the buttons, using the apps, you know. Well, you know, when you see a junkie who shoots heroin and dies, yes, heroin is really, really bad, but you know, they come back for more, always and always and always. And the main driver behind it is the human, and the human kills the human. It's the same. I've said this a couple of times about guns. It's not guns that kill people; it's people that kill people.
Absolutely.
But I think after, especially this year, you know, where you've seen so much commotion come up, people were not so much involved in their job and their futures and careers on the business side, but people were fearing about how should I live? How will I get through this pandemic? What am I going to do if I face myself because I'm locked away every day?
And what are the most important things in my life?
You know, and if we haven't realized by now that the human problems are the far larger scale problems that we need to solve and fix, wow, then, you know, I wouldn't even know what to say to people like that who are neglecting facts.
Yeah, and perhaps you are right. I don't know if I would have said the things I've said before, not just today, but over the past weeks and months on this show. If it wouldn't have been for the thing going on outside, for the changes in the world. I mean, frankly, we wanted to keep business a bit out, but please allow me to reflect a little bit on what we've been through this year. Cloudical, my company, in that regard, not there. We managed to survive. That's a good thing. We totally reinvented ourselves. We totally reinvented our business. We had to do hard and tough decisions, still do them day in, day out. We had to for example, set people free. We had to, for example, cut things off that we thought were like very, very important, like last year. That turned out not to be commercially viable, for example. Stuff like that. That's hard stuff. But that is something I told the team internally as well. I feel like if the pandemic wouldn't have given us the pressure, we wouldn't have done that. And I would even say it differently. If the pandemic wouldn't have given us that kind of understanding that we have to change things, that we don't have to lose out on things, we wouldn't have done that. I mean, we cutted ties, we changed our own perception, we went through and are still going through very challenging times, externally as well as internally. And I wouldn't have said those things in regards to setting up a vanilla foundation, or whatever it might be called. That's my internal title there. Whatever it might be called, in basically standing up for that kind of choice, for those small providers, for those who perhaps, and it might sound a little bit strange, but those who make up a living by hosting other people's workloads, for example. Frankly, a year ago, I wouldn't have cared, at least I wouldn't have dared to care in that regard. I would have said, okay, look, yeah, you need to adopt, you need to go that route, you need to change things, do it on your own. But today, nowadays, in end of 2020, I'm worried, I'm concerned, and I'm willing to change things. I'm willing to perhaps go a way more political route. Me as a person, and with parts of what I do. Frankly, I would doubt, first of all, that we would have this show if it wasn't due to the disruption the pandemic caused. But it's not like complaining, not at all. Frankly, I'm proud of what we did this year. I'm
It shows so much character. One of the reasons why I have so much respect for you, by the way, at that point is concerning our show. We were all in kind of a fucked up situation when the pandemic hit and when we went into lockdown, and there were a lot of really just hard and of course negative conversations that I had around that time, that we all had kind of in February and March and April. But one of the beams of light that opened up was, you were one of the guys to call me and say like, hey, this situation is so messed up, let's make something good out of it, let's have some fun, let's share, let's create something for people that takes their mind off all this bullshit. But still, I guess in a lot of the shows that we've had, we've been very realistic and very straightforward about topics, about our opinions, about our views. But that has been really, really great. And we've had so many conversations this year, online, offline, private, business, no matter what it was. But one of the things that always gave me strength when I didn't have it myself was that you were someone who pushes further and who doesn't give up, and you told me a couple of times quite straightforward, yes, that's crap, that's shit, and you're in a dumb situation, but there were always reasons and arguments to push me on forward and to say like, hey, just go on, do this, go out.
I'm not good in listening to that. I'm not good at listening to that, Chris. You know that.
Well, that's why I'm happy we're on a live format, because they need to listen and we get to capture your reaction. But no, I'm dead serious about that. And that's kind of, coming back to it all, saying we need to see clearly through a lot of obstacles and through a lot of external influence that we can change ourselves, that is just there the way it is. And my personal resume for 2020 will be, yes, exactly, finding the points in life that are positive, the anchors, the people that will help you and empower you and enable you to even walk through very, very dark times is very, very valuable. And I think addressing this in basically an IT show and maybe a business show on a business network is very, very important, because I've been preaching the human component. And if there's living proof that basically it's not just a thought in my mind, but it's something real, is right here. Everybody out there, you're seeing it right now.
Right on the right side of the screen. The point is, I can basically just give that back. But let me put it that way. I feel like one thing this year showed and has told us and has taught us. I mean, first of all, yes, we can definitely fail. We can have bloody noses in the end. We can end up being disappointed. We can end up being frustrated. Whatever. But the point is, that is not the end. That is just a status in between. It's a road. It's a way. It's not like the goal. It's basically it's about always moving on and being able and giving yourself the inner kind of strength to move on and to reinvent yourself, to cut ties, to perhaps be in other people's eyes the asshole. As long as you can get up in the morning and look into the mirror and say, look, there's a sense in what I do. I couldn't care less about what other people say. Now, by the way, that's we are all social people, so we definitely care about what other people say, and it hurts, and it should hurt, and it's good that it hurts. But in the end, and finally and ultimately, in a good sense, it is us who counts. And having the strength to perhaps walk away from things, having the strength to perhaps change things, to start things, to end things, to modify them, to adopt, or perhaps even say, look, let me put it that way, and I hope nobody from my company hears that. I could definitely imagine a life without Cloudical. No, I can't, but I can. Because it's not about an organization, it's about an idea, it's about something that has sense. And for example, that kind of political thing would be something I would love to get up in the morning for. Would I give up my company? No, hell not. Absolutely not. And that's why I hope nobody heard that. But it would be because having a responsibility for people, having a responsibility for an organization. I mean, look at my eyes. I could imagine that somebody would perceive that as looking a little bit tired. But the point is, that's worth it. It's rewarding on its own. But, and that's the point I try to make. It always needs to align with what you want to do, with what I want to do, with what the person that is basically responsible for his or her life wants to do. And having realized that we have a choice, having realized that we have the strength to reinvent ourselves, to walk away, to start something new, to not walk away, to not start something new, which is a choice we make.
Yeah.
To contribute or not to contribute. I feel like that is the most important lesson I was told and taught this year. And frankly, we are still in the middle of it. Not even in the middle, from my perception. I feel like the next months are going to be horrible. But the point is, at least emotionally horrible. I hope so, that it's just emotionally horrible. Even if I don't even want to have that. But again, the point I want to make is that is something that this thing has already told me and taught me. And that feels, to me, it feels strengthening. It feels empowering. It empowers me. It gives me the strength to dream, even in some dark hours, even in some lonely and despaired hours. It gives me the strength to carry on, to move on, to perhaps cry or yell or rant or whatever, but then like sit down, come down, because I know that I'm stronger than I thought I would be.
Yes.
And I know, for example, the same about you. You are stronger, and you have proven that multiple times. You have proven that not to me, although you did, but to yourself. And if you would reflect on that, also having the guts to stand up for things or to yell at somebody and say, look, you're an asshole. That is nothing I would be worried upon. Although later on, I did that myself. So I then later on reflected perhaps and said, okay, yeah, look, I would have not, perhaps I shouldn't have said asshole, I should have said lovely asshole, or you get the point. The point is having rediscovered perhaps that strength in my case, for example, I want to go to war and at war against like those oligopoly companies. It's not to say that I hate people who work there, that I don't even love their products or whatever. It's just the danger that that kind of behavior imposes, the kind of diversity that is going to be buried away, that kind of monopoly that is ultimately arising. That is something I want to fight against, with my company, with my products, and with that future foundation. And that will be highly political. And I'm totally taking into account that I piss people off by doing that. I totally do
And
that.
that's a good thing.
I know.
That's a really really good thing, Carsten. I do feel you. I've personally over the last weeks and months have been also, you know, I've been put into the situation. Basically, why do the two people who write comments, you know, and enjoy our show enjoy it? Because we've been very
Is it
very
actually
authentic.
already two?
Yeah,
Have
I
we
think
doubled
so.
it?
Not even
It's not
counting
just
Emil.
only
Not
it's
even
not just
counting
only
Emil.
my mama. It's also your mom.
Yes. Yeah, no,
Hello,
who knows?
mommy.
But you know, I'm figuring one of the reasons why people appreciate our format and like it is because we've been very open, honest, and authentic about a lot of things, you know, and especially me. Um, us actually, that's why it's so beautiful. When we rant, you know, we do it for the cause because
Yep.
we're very very, you know, we believe in what we say, and it's not something we do for the quota, for the likes, for whatever, you know. Love us or hate us, that's been our message. And the thing is, exactly through this very very clear and transparent and open way, I've gained traction. But as soon as I started gaining traction, I was put into the position, well, this is great what you're doing there, but as soon as you start becoming successful, we shall have to start controlling it, because we're not, you know, going to let you create your own monster or let you create your own thing. But that's, you know, as soon as people start um, kind of realizing, in our case, interacting, viewing our format, whatever, as soon as you start becoming successful, you'll very very quickly run into people who start setting rules up for you, because they think they have the position of power. And coming from, for example, saying let's create a foundation, you know, that's exactly, that's working against crap like that, because I helped build you, and when I help build you, you know, I'm entitled to have my own opinion, way of thinking, morals, system of beliefs that I live in. And that's not going to change. And never, ever, ever forget your roots, where you came from. And
Absolutely.
never, ever, ever try to burn these away for really imbecile, stupid reasons like monetization, like crushing the competition, like anything like that. And I can just tell everybody, maybe we'll see, maybe we won't, maybe it will be loud or maybe very quiet. But one thing I can state here very, very clearly is, um, I have my firm beliefs and I stand behind them. And I'm not this flag in the wind that goes wherever the wind takes one. But one of the reasons why people know my name and why they either love or hate me is because I'm opinionated and I do what I
Yeah.
do, and I firmly believe in all of this stuff that I'm telling the people out there, and that's not going to change. And that's the interesting thing, you know, where we can say, after all of this year and all of the conversations, emotions, decisions, life situations, one thing that we're very good at, and where I'm really proud of us both, is that we are keeping it real and we're staying true. And we've faced a lot of the negativity around us due to wanting to stay true and due to wanting to push the goodness that we believe in. And that's a very, very great thing. That's going to be a key takeaway for me, to say, I've learned a lot about change, and I've learned a lot about taking feedback and reflecting on that feedback and reacting to the feedback on so many different levels. But one of the most important things that I've learned during 2020, spending also a lot of time with myself, here, living on my own, is stay true to yourself, because that's where you can drive the inner happiness. That's where you find this at least little spark in the morning when you get up, that you're saying it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it to get up in the morning and do whatever I do whatever may come, maybe 1,000 good things, 1,000 bad things, or somewhere in between today. But that comes from staying true to yourself. And I think with everything you've said, that I've said, with all the formats we've done, especially because you did mention it, and that's really one thing where I'm saying your company is an absolute role model company at that point. That's just why I'm mentioning it now, is this part of being true and giving and taking, and actually kind of to burn it down to its essence, giving a fuck about the happenings that are here every day, you know. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's probably a lot. We could do 10 shows only on this. But I'm figuring, that's the important message. We do what we do because we love it, and from this love can grow a passion, and from this passion can grow a profession, and from this profession can grow a vocation and a mission. And if you put all this awesome stuff together, put it into a little Venn diagram, hey, you're gonna find your reason for being, your reason for getting up in the morning, and that's beautiful, and everybody has it. And maybe we can be a part of enabling and empowering other people to take a step forward and say, I believe in myself and I believe in what I've built. Or maybe people might need help finding what they care for and finding what their mission in life is. Hey, our doors are open. We've been giving everybody very, very good ideas of what we believe in it and why we do, and why this very, very often in our case is the outsider position and not the mainstream position. But that's okay. It's great, Come join the fun.
The point actually is, as you said, you need to have that little spark in the morning, and you need to have that conviction that you are doing the right thing. Again, it's not about criticism, not at all. Criticize me, correct me, tell me where I'm mistaken, convince me. But do not try to kill off my energy. Do not try to control me in that regard. Because I feel like it is something which I truly embraced and truly enjoyed over the past, like, 28 or 29 shows or 30 shows, I don't know, so far. It's basically that you can say everything about you, about me, about Dom, but we've always been one thing, and that is authentic. We never tried to be somebody else. We never tried to be somebody else's toy. We never tried to be somebody else's kind of public speaker or whatever. When I was telling about things with Cloudical, with our products, and I feel like that was visible. I was on fire. I was happy. I was, and I still love doing that because I feel like that is authentic. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Is Cloudical a small company? Yes, it is. Is Cloudical a company that is not even, I don't know, a 300 still fraction of what, for example, say SUSE or Red Hat do? Nothing against SUSE or Red Hat, don't get me wrong. It is. Are we fighting an uphill battle? So much, but I could not enjoy it more, because I love being the underdog. I love being the challenger. I love being perhaps no, I hate it, but I love being the voice of reason, of reasonability, of being reasonable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's already a long day. I love that, and I totally see, and I loved and enjoyed that. When I was seeing you talking about things that you cared about, that had an impact in your life, that shaped things that you were involved with, when you shaped things that you were involved with, be it with SUSE, be it with some private projects. That is authenticity, and that kind of being authentic. Frankly, we said we never wanted to do some sort of a commercial show, and you said it absolutely. Do not try to be somebody else just for the sake of selling things or whatever. But frankly, I feel like just looking at the past months, like 6 7 months, you have been in between. I called you like that. You have been an awesome ambassador for SUSE, for example, because you were not just talking about, or you were not just repeating, I don't know, those kind of marketing phrases that we are all used to. Again, nothing against SUSE, not at all. That's more like, that's the way business works. They curate. They curate those marketing phrases because they are like the smallest common denominator they have. Like everybody could swallow them. And they blend in, and we do the same. They blend in all the buzzwords that you need to have now, like open source and trust and diversity and so on and so forth. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. They do that, we do that because we believe in those values.
Yes.
If we are ever able to 100% live along those lines, is a completely different question or story. But the point is, we do believe in those values. We do believe in those things. And the aspect that I feel like is highly underrated is how that kind of authenticity, how that kind of being authentic is actually something that cannot be controlled. You should not control it. It should be something that is there with perhaps from time to time the wrong, in quotation marks, the wrong message.
Yeah, one thing, common denominator through a couple of conversations I've had the last days is it's pretty much always ended at the point, well, Chris, you just don't listen to what people are telling you, and if you'd only listen to all the others except for yourself, then you'd be more successful, you wouldn't be as fat as you are, you'd
I'm
be
fat as well.
a better person, all in all. And I've been saying, well, it's really, really weird. On one end of the spectrum, for example, in this show, in Friday Catch Up, what's happened very often is, I go lamenting about all the crap I care for together with you, this and that and that. And then there's somebody shyly in the comments saying like, well, Chris, Carsten, whoever was just talking, that's crap, wow, that sucks. And not once was there reason to, or did we get angry about stuff like that? Because the most beautiful thing happened, that these people who said, well, you were wrong, didn't just say you're stupid because you're not of my opinion, but they actually said, hey, I'll step up, I'll come to your show, I'll explain to you what this is about, and at the end of the explanation we'll find out how wrong you were. And in every one of these situations, I've met great people who have this awesome passion in them. They didn't show up in the shows to point a finger at me and say like, you're stupid, I know something better. But they turned up because they said, hey, Chris, you're talking about knowledge transfer, about fairness, about giving and taking, building this community. I want to be part of it. And every one of these situations where basically the base for the situation was Chris said something stupid because he didn't know something, turned into something really, really great. And I love the way of learning that. And
Yeah.
I think, we all need to enter a world where for one, as mentioned at the beginning, we don't just say yes and amen to everything just in the hopes of avoiding conflict. And the second thing is, yeah, we can't always go down the route, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, everybody's wrong, but we need to put all these pieces together. And hey, even or especially through the points where sometimes we're very, very open and say, oh wow, I thought something was a way, or I believed something was a way, or I've taught myself to believe that something was a way. Why not take up the offer of somebody else stepping up and saying, well, I just know a little more about that or whatever, but I'm willing to share with you because you've given me something, you've given me some feedback how I'm being perceived, and that may be wrong, and that giving me back the right perception. So if I do want to continue writing on some certain aspect, point, argument, or mission, that I'm doing it better. And that's basically, putting all the pieces together that we've been talking about, and which creates great environments and great positivity and great empowerment. And that's very, very important. So
I wish that what you just draw out a little bit, that would be a common denominator. That would be awesome, because that would mean that we would actually listen to each other. That would actually imply that we would accept each other and just look at, for example, what is going on in the States and in several other countries in regards to politics. They are not even willing to listen to each other. They are not even pretending to do so. What they are just doing is like yelling at each other, ignoring each other, and then just positioning themselves to be the victims. And that is that's not just politics. That's not just politics. That's basically, in many, many situations, people are behaving like that. And frankly, I'm tired of that.
yes.
And to be honest, that hurts. It hurts me. I'm a person that is living for interaction. I'm a person that is basically, I have my opinions, and I'm and you have your opinions. I'm totally I'm making myself totally vocal on them. And I have strong opinions, and I from time to time have a strong language, and from time to time I'm becoming loud and becoming angry, and perhaps saying the wrong words in a wrong tone towards people. But what I basically feel like should always be there is that, first of all, that willingness to accept that somebody else might have a point, even when they say it in a way that I personally do not love it. And frankly, I was told over the past weeks from a multitude of sources things that truly hurt me. I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that, because there's a reason behind it. I might not be of the same opinion in regards to the way it was made vocal. I might not be of the same opinion, perhaps to the point that was made. But I feel like even when somebody yells at me, and that truly hurts, if I give that person room to yell at me, that person would be trying to make things vocal, and to basically sit there and or yell at me and trying to draw their picture. And I'm again, that hurts a lot, but I feel like that is important, and I've seen and witnessed the other way around as well, where somebody is not even talking to you, just talking behind your back, or basically giving you a verdict without even factoring in what you have to say. Or looking at, for example, politics quite often, just yelling at each other without that attitude of, once I finished yelling, you can yell at me. Because that's basically fairness. That's basically if I give somebody my picture, let me put it that way, and even if I do that in a very strong language, I should be fair enough not to hang up or to shut the door or just to turn around. I should be fair enough to listen to what the other person has to say. And by the way, that is something the both of us, you and me, internally did, and I loved it. No, I hated it, but I loved it because
I mean,
that
you
is
know, in all the discussions we've had on the show, in many points, you know, you were of one opinion, I was of the other opinion. Everybody, you know, gets to state that each of us goes into their rant,
yeah,
and you know, the avid viewer will realize it was never at the end that we said, well, either you're right or I'm right, but it was always we're both right
yeah.
because it's, you know, it's our own
Everyone
way.
has a
We
point.
both learn what the other said, and that for me really broadened my
Yeah,
opinion, my
yeah,
horizon on
exactly,
many topics.
exactly,
Not
exactly,
accepting willingly what you're saying, but saying like, damn, he wouldn't say it if there, you know, wasn't a reason. He
exactly.
explained to me why he's saying what he is.
I
So
totally
that's
agree,
okay.
Chris. I totally agree. But if you look outside, if you look at politics, if you look at business, there's not even the will to accept that we might agree to disagree, which is fine because if I agree to disagree with you, I still give you room for your completely wrong and completely unacceptable points. Um, frankly, that's a matter of respect.
Yes.
I respect you even if you have a different opinion. You respect me for that. And what I was, again, I talk a lot about myself today. That's quite strange. But what I was, for example, and I hated being confronted with is somebody says, you are the CEO. Well, if you say so. And I say, screw you. That
Fuck you,
basically
man.
no, I did not want to say that. That basically pisses me off truly, because yeah, ultimately I might be the one taking responsibility. I might be the one being brought to court for things. Fine, and that's why perhaps I make a decision, even if it's not the decision that somebody wants to have from me. Fine, perfect. But I'm interested in your opinion. If I ask you, I'm interested in your opinion. Frankly, I wouldn't need to pretend that I would be interested because, to be honest, I'm strong enough to not care about you. But I care. I always
You
care.
know,
I would even care
that's
about. I would even care about Trump, although he's a complete moron. But the point is that even somebody like that guy, even like some QAnon people, they have a story behind their beliefs, and I need to understand why they
yes.
have it. I need to understand. I do not need to share it. I do not need to follow that one. Um, but I feel like we would all be better off if we would take the time and the respect and not just the power to basically ignore things. If we would take time, if we would have the respect, if we would have the guts to ultimately accept another person, even if that person has a wrong opinion, and even if I would never ever share that opinion, but trying. I mean, frankly, there are always like those morons that are completely pointless, but that's not the point. They still, what
I
I
mean,
want
you
them
know,
to.
let's be realistic, because it does sound very idealist and romantic, of course, what we're saying at the
No,
moment. Of course, you know, if you're going to stand in front of me and you're a Nazi and you're going to try and convince me that being a Nazi is the right
you
decision,
need
probably
to live with my reaction.
I'm just gonna deck you. You're gonna fly 2 meters, get up at some point, and wonder what hit you. But the thing is, yeah, you know, there's always extremes to
Yeah.
any story and,
Yeah.
any viewpoint that we could have. But the general common ground is, um, it's the same as with the symbol that we have from Asian tradition, which is yin and yang.
Hmm.
And yin and yang is the good and the evil. And then, you have a white and a black side, but in each side there's a spot of the other, which says the good in the evil and the evil in the good, but it all together is life.
Yeah.
And that's how we need to start seeing things.
Yeah.
My own opinion cannot be valid or invalid without also somebody being against it.
Absolutely.
Because if nobody was against it, there would be no base and no reason for me to have this opinion. If there is no bad, there is no good. Then
Yeah.
it's all just one big gray mass.
If
And
there
if
is
there
no,
is
if
no
there is no,
light,
if
there is
there's
no wrong.
exactly, if there is no black, then there is no white.
And I've been trying to apply these certain life and spiritual sciences a lot within my business. That was a very, very bad idea, Carsten. Let me tell you that, because also there you need to kind of, yeah, really make a distinction. Is somebody fighting for the cause, for their own image building, for somebody else maybe? Are people being manipulated? But let's put this straight, and this is also a very, very strong focus that I've learned. My main job in life is becoming the person I want to be and becoming a very happy person and finding my inner peace, because from this I can take my inner peace that I found and become whatever I want in the work world. Can start recording music again, can start dancing as a
Don't do
hobby,
that. No, 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 no.
can
Please
become
don't
a
do that. No,
politician,
please, please,
whatever
please,
it
please.
is, it doesn't matter.
Whatever
But the
you do,
base of
Chris,
it
don't
all,
make music again.
don't that. Oh, well, if I do, I'll put other optical
I
highlights.
would buy your CD. I would buy it, and then I would
Well,
burn it.
well, who knows what might come, but what I've um, definitely learned so far is, if we are talking on the business side, everybody's in it for the money and everybody's in it for the success and the fame and to become the most powerful person. And that is in very stark conflict to what we actually as humans have in us as an instinct of life, because the instinct never was, thousands of years before money was even invented, as a form of trade and as a form of power, of something that can
Mm.
give this pressure. We were already on this planet and we were already creating tribes and families and advancing in technology and living togetherness and communities and
Hmm.
whatever it is. And we need to come to this hard realization. We're fighting all these fights, although we've been sitting in the same boat in 2020, every human being. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in a 200-bedroom villa or if you're sitting under a bridge somewhere because you don't have a house, you can't afford a house. We're all fucked in the same direction. And anything else will only be power play, because it doesn't matter how big your paycheck is, how much money you have, where you have the money from, or whatever you're doing. At the end of the day, we all breathe, we all eat, we all go to the toilet, and we all need to sleep, otherwise we die. And that's maybe more the things we should be focusing on. And this is what I'm hoping, what a lot of the very, very rich and influential people, politicians, business leaders have learned, that actually their whole worth, them being rich is only based on me as a human being being part of the consumerism and being part of the politics they're trying to define and let flow into each other. And if they kill me off, if they kill me off as an individual, as a person, then there is nobody who will buy your product, then there is nobody who will make you money, then you're going to go into this nirvana of irrelevance. And that's just one point where I'm hoping that 2020 helped, especially the upper percentile of this planet, reiterate and rethink why we're here and which responsibilities we should be taking seriously. But yeah, you know potato potato.
Tomato, tomato. Something I learned this year.
Yeah.
What do we make of that?
Wow, we even did as kind of a failover plan because we weren't sure what we could talk about today. We actually had a mini agenda, but we didn't need it because this was so much more valuable.
Frankly, I don't want to put it out now because I feel like we would just, screw it to some extent. Because I feel like, again, oh, please allow me one thought. And that's also based on something we discussed. That's based on things that I discussed internally with my people. That's based on something I actually feel about. You see that a little bit like that kind of Christmas thing behind me, right?
Yeah.
And you were like, screw you, Christmas, that's not my thing. Totally get that. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to discuss on that because that's perfectly fine. I'm typically
Jingle bell,
oh please
cloudy
no.
bell, vanilla stack all the way, vanilla cloud Christmas, la 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 la. Hey.
What I just wanted to say this year, this whole year, has been exhausting.
Yes,
It
very
was.
much.
It was rewarding. Perhaps not financially.
Yes, also.
Perhaps not financially, but it was rewarding. And to be honest, I can totally understand if people now say, okay, and I heard that from different angles over the past days. They say, look, when we work, that gives us some sort of structure. We push and we do. But overall and in general, we just want to rescue ourselves onto Christmas. Not because I was a friend of mine who is a Muslim told me that. He said, I'm so much looking forward to Christmas. And I said, why do you do that? Are you looking for presents? He was like, no, absolutely not. He said, yeah, okay, please send me something, but that was not the point. He was like, no, I'm so much looking forward to a week or two of detox, of shutting down the computer, of just trying to refocus, of just trying to regain some energy. I'm working like hell at the moment. I have 14, 16-hour days. That's what he said. Because I definitely needed to trump that by saying I have 18 to 20-hour days.
I was just gonna say, well, it can't be you because you're somewhere at 20 hours.
I always try to trump things, but what he said is like, and I love to do that. I truly love it. But there are and there are certain things I truly miss. Like over here in Germany, for example, that's not what he said. What I'm saying now is like those Christmas markets, those that kind of atmosphere in the streets. Not that kind of commercial aspect of those things. More like that kind of there's a history associated with that. You have a connection to some extent with the past, with the future.
We have this nice word in German called besinnlich. I
Yeah,
just wouldn't know, where everybody
yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
refocuses more on
On
the
the
self
important
and the
things,
being itself,
on being with the
than
family.
focused on the craziness.
Exactly. So, but what he just said is, and I'm truly, he said, I'm truly looking forward to that for like end of this year, beginning of next year, shutting down things before I then again attack next year. And he said one thing, and you said that as well, and I said that I feel like internally as well. He said, please don't try to make me being excited now, because it's not going to work. This year was so it was so exhausting. it was so frustrating. It was so rewarding on the other hand. It brought so many changes, and still, frankly, there is no comparison with what happened like 75 years ago. Was it 70? Yeah, 75 years ago. Uh, uh, um, um, Still, we are in a way better position. It's not even closely to be compared with that. That's again my fault. But the point is, it was exhausting. Next year will be exhausting. I told you before the show that I would not expect anything to be changed until summer. So I personally expect another half of a year of exhausting situations outside. And the exhausting thing is not that we are forced to be at home. That's really. I mean, there are people that say, "Look, what's quarantine?" I did that for the past 30 years. I don't see any difference. No, the exhausting thing is that you are limited in the way how you could interact with other people. That you feel like being under siege. That you feel like being under pressure from the outside. The outside world is challenging at the moment. It's dangerous. It's hard to live within, because you can just catch, just by going to buy yourself something to eat, you can catch COVID or whatever, what have you. The point is, and I just want to make that point towards everyone who is now watching or not watching, listening or not listening. Listen to yourself. If you have that feeling, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't let it bring you down. That's not the point. But it is now, frankly, at the end of a year, where how many people are worldwide that died of COVID? Is it already millions? Even if not, even if it's just hundreds of thousands. Frankly, it's perfectly fine to be exhausted. It's perfectly fine to be not excited at the moment. I decided to push things into January from a business perspective, because I feel like there's no way of exciting people now. You just cannot do that. Even if I was excited. And I could be pretty impressive on that. But the point is, it's not working at the moment. As you said, Besinnlichkeit. As you said, or as I said, coming down, rescuing yourself towards some days off, with or without your family. Trying to create some besinnlich mood within the ones you like, you work with, you love. Not necessarily the same persons, but could be as well. The point is, that is perfectly fine, that is perfectly okay. And look at us, look at Chris, look at me. We are not looking like the early morning at the moment. We are looking like, I don't know, having partied for like 10 days in a row without having any kind of sleep. And I'm absolutely sure that if we look outside, most of the people would look like that. The point that I'm trying to make just with those many words is, this year has been a very exhausting year, a very exciting year, a very dangerous year, a very rewarding year. And next year will be a new year, even if it's just a date in the calendar. But to sustain there and to keep in the loop and to continue, because you cannot just stop living. You shouldn't do that. Let me put it that way. Could have a bad impact on your lifespan, on your remaining lifespan. The point is, to master that, you need to be able to get up in the morning and have that small little spark. And that's okay. And that's enough. And even if there are days when that spark is not there, but you know it is there, You perhaps cannot see it because it's a bad day. You have friends, you have us, you have
Yes.
the world outside. And yeah, things are changing. Things have changed this year. Things will be changing. It will affect Chris, it will affect me, it will affect Dom, it will affect many people. I'm not afraid of that because I found something this year. And that is not a belief in some mystic, magical kind of creature. I totally accept if somebody is believing in that. I found to some extent believe in my own strength, in my own abilities, and into what friendship or openness and respect could do, because that gave me strength over this year. And Chris, again, I did that in the beginning and I want to end with that. And please do not try to add something in the end. I thank you for that. Not just you, but you are a very, very important part in that. And I don't know if I would have been where I am now, wherever that is, without you, your support, your critics, yourself, without you being Chris. And that is, then again, the great thing. It's truly the great thing. Because I learned to appreciate that. I don't have many friends. I don't have many social contacts other than my business contacts. So that is more important than I could paraphrase. Period. Let's stop it here. It's not getting better.